What if the only thing standing between you and the life you have always dreamed of is not your circumstances, not your background, not your lack of money, not your lack of connections, but simply the intensity of your thinking? What if I told you that the wealthiest, the most successful, the most powerful people who ever walked this earth did not have more hours in a day than you do? They did not have a magical gift that you were denied at birth. They had something far more dangerous, far more powerful, far more unstoppable than any talent or resource on this planet. They had an obsession, a burning, consuming, relentless obsession that refused to let them sleep in mediocrity. An obsession so fierce that their minds worked like engines running at full speed, day and night, dissolving every obstacle, attracting every opportunity, and manufacturing every breakthrough they ever needed. And here is the most shocking truth you will hear today. That same obsession is available to you, right now, at this very moment. But only if you are willing to force your mind into action. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear will change the direction of your entire life. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you have always dreamed of is not your circumstances, not your background, not your lack of money, not your lack of connections, but simply the intensity of your thinking? What if I told you that the wealthiest, the most successful, the most powerful people who ever walked this earth did not have more hours in a day than you do? They did not have a magical gift that you were denied at birth. They had something far more dangerous, far more powerful, far more unstoppable than any talent or resource on this planet. They had an obsession, a burning, consuming, relentless obsession that refused to let them sleep in mediocrity. An obsession so fierce that their minds worked like engines running at full speed, day and night, dissolving every obstacle, attracting every opportunity, and manufacturing every breakthrough they ever needed. And here is the most shocking truth you will hear today. That same obsession is available to you, right now, at this very moment. But only if you are willing to force your mind into action. I want you to understand something profound today. Your mind, that magnificent, incomprehensible universe sitting inside your skull, is the most powerful instrument ever created in the history of existence. But here is the tragedy. Here is the heartbreaking, devastating reality that most people carry to their graves without ever discovering. Most people never use this instrument at even 10% of its true capacity. They let it sit idle. They let it rust. They feed it fear, doubt, gossip, and mediocrity. And then they wonder why their lives feel empty, purposeless, and small. The mind does not activate itself. The mind does not rise to greatness on its own. The mind must be forced into action. And the only force powerful enough to do that, the only fuel that can ignite the full capacity of human potential, is the force of obsession. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You have been told that obsession is unhealthy. You have been told to be balanced. You have been told to be careful, to be realistic, to manage your expectations. And I want to look you directly in the eyes and tell you, that advice has kept more people in poverty, in mediocrity, and in quiet desperation than any other lie ever whispered into the human ear. Balance is beautiful for those who are satisfied with average. But you, if you are watching this, if you are listening to these words right now, you are not here for average. You are here because something inside you, some deep, ancient, unquenchable fire, is screaming that you were built for more. And that fire has a name. That fire is called obsession. Let me tell you what obsession actually is, because most people misunderstand it completely. Obsession is not madness. Obsession is not recklessness. Obsession is not losing your mind. Obsession is finding your mind for the very first time in your life. Obsession is when your desire becomes so concentrated, so focused, so intensely directed at a single definite purpose that your entire mental, emotional, and physical energy aligns behind that one vision. Think about what happens to sunlight when it passes through a magnifying glass. Ordinary sunlight, scattered and diffused, does nothing. It warms your skin mildly on a pleasant afternoon. But take that same sunlight, concentrate it through a single lens, focus it on a single point, and within seconds it creates fire. It burns through solid material. It transforms completely. Your mind works in exactly the same way. Scattered thinking produces scattered results. Unfocused desires produce unfulfilled lives. But when you take the full power of your mental energy and concentrate it obsessively, relentlessly, without apology, on a single definite chief aim, something miraculous begins to happen. Your mind catches fire, and a mind on fire cannot be stopped by anything in this universe. I want to tell you about something that happens in the deepest layers of your mind when obsession takes hold. Something that science is only beginning to understand, but that the greatest achievers in history have always known intuitively. When you hold a thought, a burning, passionate, obsessive thought with absolute emotional intensity and absolute repetition, your subconscious mind accepts that thought as a command, not a request, not a suggestion, a command. And the subconscious mind is the most obedient servant ever created. It does not question, it does not argue, it does not say that's impossible, or you're not qualified, or people like you don't achieve things like that. It simply goes to work. It begins operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, searching through the infinite library of the universe for every resource, every idea, every connection, every opportunity that can bring your obsessive vision into physical reality. This is not poetry. This is not motivation rhetoric. This is the mechanics of how human achievement actually works. Every invention, every empire, every masterpiece, every breakthrough that has ever elevated the condition of humanity began as a single obsessive thought in a single human mind that refused to let it die. But here is what nobody tells you. Here is the part that most people skip over because it requires something uncomfortable. Before obsession can work for you, you must first make a decision so clear, so definite, so irreversible that your entire identity reorganizes around it. You must decide, not wish, not hope, not dream, but decide with every fiber of your being what it is that you want. You must name it precisely. You must see it vividly. You must feel it in your blood and your bones as if it already exists. Most people never do this. Most people live their entire lives in a fog of vague desires and half-formed wishes. They want to be successful, but they cannot tell you what success looks like for them specifically. They want to be wealthy, but they have never written down a precise number, a precise date, a precise plan. They want happiness, but they have never sat down for 5 concentrated minutes to define what happiness actually means in the tangible reality of their daily lives. And so the mind, that magnificent, powerful, extraordinary instrument, has nothing specific to work with. It has no target. It has no command. And a mind with no command simply drifts. It follows the loudest voice in the room. It absorbs whatever the environment feeds it. It becomes a product of circumstances rather than a creator of destiny. The moment you give your mind a definite obsessive purpose, everything changes. I mean everything. The way you see the world changes. The opportunities that were always around you but invisible suddenly become visible. The people you need to meet begin appearing in your life. The resources you thought were unavailable begin finding their way to you through channels you could have never predicted or planned. This is what the greatest minds in history called the mysterious power of a burning desire. It is not mysterious at all once you understand it. It is simply the law of focused mental energy working exactly as it was designed to work. Now I want to address something that every single person watching this has experienced. I want to talk about the moment when obsession meets resistance, because it will meet resistance. It always does. The world is not set up to encourage obsessive dreamers. The world is set up to produce conformists, to produce workers, to produce people who fit neatly into existing systems and existing categories. The moment you decide to be obsessed with a magnificent purpose, the voices will come. They will come from outside, from family members who love you but fear your ambition, from friends who feel threatened by your intensity, from society that profits from your smallness. And they will come from inside, from the accumulated doubts of a lifetime, from the memory of every failure and every rejection and every time someone told you that you were not enough. And here is what you must understand about those voices. They are not speaking truth. They are speaking habit. They are the echoes of a conditioned mind that has been trained to see limitation instead of possibility. And the only way to silence those voices, permanently, completely, and finally, is not to argue with them, not to fight them, not to try to reason them away. The only way to silence those voices is to become so obsessed with your purpose that those voices simply cannot compete with the roar of your burning desire. Obsession is louder than doubt, always, without exception. Let me tell you about the power of autosuggestion, because this is one of the most practical, most actionable, most immediately applicable tools available to any human being who wants to force their mind into action. Autosuggestion is simply the practice of deliberately, repeatedly, and emotionally feeding your mind the thoughts you want it to act upon. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a thought that is vividly imagined with deep emotion and a thought that is based on current physical reality. This is not a limitation of your mind, it is one of its greatest gifts, because it means that you can begin programming your mind for the success you desire before that success has arrived in your physical experience. Every morning, before the world has a chance to fill your mind with its noise and its negativity and its demands, you must deliberately feed your obsessive vision to your subconscious mind. Write it down, speak it aloud, feel it with every emotion you can summon. See yourself already living in that reality. Hear the sounds of that success. Feel the texture of that achievement in your hands. Do this with obsessive regularity. Do this without embarrassment and without apology. Do this as if your life depends on it, because in the deepest sense that matters, it does. Your mental life depends on it. The quality of your experience on this earth depends on it. The legacy you leave behind depends on it. Because here is what happens when you practice autosuggestion with obsessive consistency. Your subconscious mind begins to treat your desired future not as a possibility, but as an existing reality that simply needs to be transferred from the mental plane to the physical plane. And once your subconscious mind accepts a reality, it will work with absolute, tireless, ingenious determination to make that reality manifest in the world around you. Now I want to speak directly to those of you who have tried before. Those of you who caught fire with a dream, who felt that burning excitement of a new possibility, who started with tremendous energy and enthusiasm, and then, somewhere along the way, the fire dimmed. The obstacles felt too large, the progress felt too slow, the gap between where you were and where you wanted to be felt too vast, and you pulled back. You settled. You told yourself it wasn't meant to be. I want to tell you something about that experience. That was not failure. That was education. That was your mind testing the depth of your commitment. And the reason the fire went out was not because the dream was wrong. The reason the fire went out was because the obsession was not yet strong enough to sustain itself through the inevitable valleys of the journey. The solution is not to choose smaller dreams. The solution is to build a deeper, fiercer, more unshakable obsession. How do you build that obsession? You build it through clarity. You build it through repetition. You build it through association, surrounding yourself with people, with environments, with information that reinforces and amplifies your burning desire. You build it through daily action, because action creates momentum, and momentum feeds obsession, and obsession produces action, in a cycle that becomes self-sustaining, self-reinforcing, and ultimately unstoppable. You must understand that the universe responds to intensity, not to effort alone, not to intelligence alone, not to talent alone. The universe responds to the intensity of your focused desire. When your desire becomes truly obsessive, when it consumes your waking thoughts and colors your dreams and shapes every decision you make, the universe begins to reorganize itself around that desire. Coincidences multiply, doors open, the right people appear at the right moments, resources materialize from directions you never anticipated. Call it what you will. Call it the law of attraction. Call it synchronicity. Call it the alignment of focused consciousness with infinite intelligence. The label matters less than the experience, and every person who has ever achieved anything truly magnificent has had this experience. The experience of the universe bending toward an obsessive human will. There is one final truth I want to leave burning in your mind today, and it is perhaps the most important truth of this entire message. The quality of your life is determined not by what happens to you, but by what happens inside you. Not by your external circumstances, but by the internal climate of your mind. A mind that is obsessed with a magnificent purpose creates a magnificent life, regardless of starting conditions, regardless of past failures, regardless of current obstacles. And a mind that is scattered, timid, and half-committed creates a scattered, timid, and half-lived existence, regardless of the opportunities placed in front of it. You have one mind, you have one life, you have one extraordinary, irreplaceable chance to discover what happens when you unleash the full, obsessive, unstoppable power of your mental energy on a purpose worthy of your deepest potential. The choice, and it is always, always a choice, is yours. Force your mind into action. Feed your obsession. Commit to your definite chief aim with every cell of your being. And then watch, with wonder and with gratitude, as the life you have always known you deserved begins to take shape before your eyes. The message of this entire speech can be compressed into one sentence that I want you to carry with you forever. A burning obsession, directed at a single definite purpose, with relentless daily action and unwavering faith, is the most powerful force available to any human being alive. You now understand that your mind is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally, but it must be forced into action through the power of obsession. You understand that scattered thinking produces scattered results, and that focused, obsessive mental energy produces extraordinary breakthroughs. You understand that your subconscious mind is working for you 24 hours a day the moment you give it a clear, emotionally charged command. You understand that resistance and doubt are not signs to retreat, they are signs that you are moving towards something significant. And you understand that the universe itself responds to the intensity of a focused human desire. This is not theory. This is the operating system of every great achievement in human history. And it is available to you completely, fully, and without condition the moment you decide to use it. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait until you feel ready. Do not wait until the circumstances improve, or the fear disappears, or someone gives you permission. Force your mind into action today. Start with one definite goal. Feed it with obsessive daily attention. Protect it from the voices of doubt and mediocrity. And commit to it with the kind of fierce, burning, unbreakable passion that history reserves for those who truly change their world. Your greatest chapter is not behind you. It has not even begun yet. And it begins right now with the decision to be obsessed. Thank you, from the deepest place of sincerity, for giving your time and your attention to these words today. Time is the most precious currency any human being possesses, and the fact that you chose to invest it in growing your mind, expanding your vision, and igniting your potential means that something powerful is already awakening inside you. That awakening is the beginning of everything. Go now with this fire in your chest and this clarity in your mind. Go with the unshakable conviction that you were not placed on this earth to live small, to think small, or to dream small. You were placed here to force your mind into its full power, to pursue your purpose with obsessive intensity, and to build a life that stands as living proof of what a committed, obsessed, and activated human mind can achieve. The world needs what only you can create, so go create it. With all the belief in the world, good luck, stay obsessed, and never, ever stop. You now understand that your mind is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally, but it must be forced into action through the power of obsession. You understand that scattered thinking produces scattered results, and that focused, obsessive mental energy produces extraordinary breakthroughs. You understand that your subconscious mind is working for you 24 hours a day the moment you give it a clear, emotionally charged command. You understand that resistance and doubt are not signs to retreat, they are signs that you are moving towards something significant. And you understand that the universe itself responds to the intensity of a focused human desire. This is not theory. This is the operating system of every great achievement in human history. And it is available to you, completely, fully, and without condition, the moment you decide to use it.